What if I told you that the most powerful move you can make in 2026 is to say nothing at all? Not because you're hiding, not because you're unsure, but because your silence is about to become your greatest weapon. Think about it. Everywhere you look, people are loud. Loud about their plans, loud about their opinions, loud about their success, most of which isn't even real. But the people who truly rise, the ones who transform their lives, they don't move like that. They're quiet, focused, unshakable. And while the world is busy shouting for attention, they're building something no one sees coming. This year, you're going to become one of them. You're going to shift your energy. Pull it back from the noise. Pull it back from the distractions. Pull it back from people who want to know everything you're doing, but contribute nothing to where you're going. Because 2026 is not the year you prove yourself to the world. It's the year you prove yourself to yourself. And the way you do that begins with one simple decision. Focus on yourself and stay silent while you do it. Not silent out of fear, silent out of power. Silent because you're working. Silent because you're evolving. Silent because something big is happening inside you, something you're not ready to reveal yet, something that needs space, time, and privacy to grow. And when that's finally ready, when your progress is undeniable, that silence will be the loudest thing you've ever spoken. Are you ready? Silence is one of the most underestimated forces in your life. Most people associate silence with absence. Absence of words, absence of movement, absence of action. But true silence isn't empty. It's full of intention, full of clarity, full of power. Silence isn't about removing sound, it's about removing noise. And when you decide to embrace silence in 2026, you're not stepping back, you're stepping inward. You're choosing to build strength where it matters most within yourself. The world we live in conditions us to think that constant expression means progress. We feel pressure to explain, defend, announce, justify, post, and update every move we make. But the moment you step into silence, you begin to see the truth. Your power doesn't grow when you speak. It grows when you listen to yourself. Silence is the space where you learn who you are without the influence of everyone else's expectations. It forces you to confront your thoughts, your emotional patterns, your fears, and your untapped potential. Inner discipline starts where the noise ends. When you shut out the world long enough to hear your own mind, you begin noticing the habits that sabotage you, the people who drain you, and the distractions that keep you stuck. You also begin noticing the parts of yourself you've ignored for too long, your resilience, your intelligence, your strength, your intuition. These things cannot be developed in chaos. They require space, patience, and deliberate quiet. Silence becomes a training ground. It's where you build your psychological armor. It's where you learn to control your impulses, regulate your emotions, and choose your responses rather than reacting out of habit. Most people never master this. They live as emotional reactors, easily triggered, easily manipulated, easily influenced. Their environment controls them because they've never taken the time to master their internal environment. But silence teaches you discipline. When you sit with your thoughts instead of running from them, you develop mental toughness. You learn to differentiate between temporary emotions and long-term goals. You learn to pause before responding, observe before judging, and think before acting. That pause alone is a superpower. It prevents mistakes. It preserves energy. It protects relationships. And it strengthens your character in ways loud, impulsive living never will. Silence also exposes the truth about your environment. When you stop explaining yourself, stop seeking approval, stop sharing every plan, people reveal their intentions quickly. Some will fall back because they only valued you when they had access to your energy. Others will question why you're quiet because they were used to your validation. And a few will respect your space because they understand the value of someone who is focused, grounded, and growing. Silence cleans out your circle without confrontation. It filters out shallow connections and strengthens meaningful ones. You learn who's for you and who's for what you give them. But the greatest strength silence gives you is alignment. When you're silent, you hear the difference between what you want and what the world wants from you. You begin making decisions that reflect your values, not your fears. You get honest about the habits you need to break, the boundaries you need to set, and the goals you need to chase. You're no longer influenced by pressure, comparison, or external expectations. You're influenced by your own vision. People often fear silence because it strips away distractions. It forces them to face the parts of themselves they've been avoiding, the regret, the insecurity, the lack of discipline, the unresolved pain. But facing those things is the gateway to transformation. You cannot improve what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot strengthen what you pretend isn't weak. Silence puts a mirror in front of you, not to judge you, but to free you. And when you begin mastering that internal discipline, something incredible happens. You become untouchable, not emotional, not reactive, not easily disturbed or influenced. You develop a calm confidence that doesn't need validation. You move with intention instead of drifting through life. You don't waste energy on arguments, drama, or trying to prove anything. You're not trying to be seen anymore. You're trying to become someone worth seeing. The world becomes quieter, too, not because it changes, but because you're no longer tuned into the wrong frequencies. The negativity that used to bother you loses its impact. The opinions that once held you back no longer matter. The distractions that once derailed you become invisible. You become focused in a way people rarely experience. You start accomplishing things faster because your energy is no longer scattered. You do better work because your mind is clear. You begin feeling stronger, not because life gets easier, but because you get more disciplined. This is the real power of silence. It transforms you without announcing the transformation. It strengthens you without anyone noticing. It prepares you in private so you can perform in public. And when you finally emerge from that silence, when the results of your discipline start showing, people will think it happened overnight. They'll think you got lucky. They'll wonder how you changed so dramatically. But you'll know that every step was earned in the quiet, in the stillness, in the moments when nobody was watching. Silence is not withdrawal from the world, it's preparation for it. It's the foundation of self-mastery. It's the birthplace of clarity, strength, and inner peace. And when you learn to control the noise outside by mastering the noise inside, you step into a level of power most people never reach. Focus on yourself. Protect your energy. Embrace silence. This is how you rise in 2026, calmly, quietly, and unmistakably. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's the foundation of every breakthrough, every level up, and every transformation you'll ever experience. The problem is that most people pour their energy everywhere except into themselves. They stretch themselves thin, trying to solve other people's problems, impress people who don't actually care, and maintain connections that drain them more than they benefit them. They get so caught up in being everything for everyone that they forget to be something for themselves. 2026 is not the year to continue that pattern. It's the year you turn the energy inward. It's the year you build yourself from the inside out before expecting the outside world to reward you. The truth is, external success is always a reflection of internal structure. You can have ambition, intelligence, dreams, and opportunity, but if your internal foundation is unstable, if your mindset, discipline, confidence, or emotional habits are weak, everything you build on top of that will eventually collapse. Focusing on yourself means recognizing that you are the project. You are the assignment. You are the blueprint. Everything else, career, relationships, money, status, comes after. When you shift your focus inward, you begin to understand yourself in ways you never have before. You start recognizing your patterns. You see the difference between what truly motivates you and what simply pressures you. You become aware of the fears that hold you back, the insecurities that shrink you, and the conditioning that has shaped your identity. You begin realizing how often you've made decisions to be liked instead of respected, to be accepted instead of authentic, to be comfortable instead of courageous. This awareness is uncomfortable at first, but it is also the doorway to your growth. Focusing on yourself means becoming brutally honest with where you are right now. I'm where you pretend to be, not where others think you are, where you actually are. It means acknowledging your weak points without shame, your strengths without arrogance, and your potential without hesitation. Most people avoid this kind of introspection because it forces them to face the truth behind their failures and their limits. But honesty is the foundation of self-improvement. You cannot build a stronger version of yourself while lying to the current version. You have to look yourself in the eye and say, these are my flaws, these are my strengths, and both of them matter. Once you start doing this internal work, everything else starts shifting. You stop looking for external validation because you finally understand your own worth. You stop chasing attention because you're no longer running from insecurity. You stop giving yourself away to people who don't appreciate you because you're no longer operating from scarcity. You stop rushing because you understand that real growth isn't a race, it's a process. Focusing on yourself also means taking responsibility for your life. It means recognizing that no one is coming to rescue you, fix you, or hand you the success you dream of. You are responsible for your habits, your choices, your reactions, your boundaries, and your direction. This responsibility is not a burden, it's power. When you take ownership, you take control. You shift from feeling like life is happening to you into understanding that life is responding to you. Every decision you make is a blueprint for the life you're building. And building that internal foundation requires consistency. It means showing up for yourself every day, not just when you feel motivated. It means creating habits that support your growth, reading, learning, reflecting, pushing yourself, practicing self-awareness, and building discipline. It means saying no to things that don't align with your goals, even when they're tempting. It means distancing yourself from people who keep you stuck, even when you care about them. It means setting boundaries, not to control others, but to protect your energy and your peace. Focusing on yourself also means prioritizing your emotional health. It means understanding your triggers, your wounds, and your responses. Instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to pause. Instead of taking everything personally, you learn to decode your emotions. Instead of seeking comfort in unhealthy habits, you learn to sit with discomfort and grow through it. Emotional maturity becomes your superpower. And when you cultivate emotional maturity, relationships become healthier, decisions become clearer, and obstacles become manageable. Building your internal foundation also requires strengthening your mindset. You have to learn to replace self-doubt with self-trust. Replace fear with strategy. Replace excuses with accountability. Replace procrastination with discipline. Replace chaos with clarity. Your mind is the engine of your life. If the engine is weak, the destination doesn't matter. A strong, intentional, disciplined mindset gives you the ability to weather challenges, remain focused, and stay committed to your long-term vision even when the short term gets messy. Another part of focusing on yourself is understanding your identity. Who you are without titles, roles, achievements, or approval. Most people build their identity around things that can be taken away: their job, their relationship, their social media following, their possessions, their appearance. But true identity comes from within: your values, your character, your principles, your resilience. When you know who you are internally, nothing external can shake you. As you build this internal foundation, something powerful begins to happen. External success becomes a natural extension of who you are. You'll find that opportunities gravitate toward people who are grounded, disciplined, self-aware, and intentional. You'll find that you make better decisions because they come from clarity, not pressure. You'll find that your relationships improve because you're no longer driven by insecurity or neediness. You'll find that your career rises because you're operating from stability, not desperation. Everything improves because you improved. People often say, work on yourself, but they rarely explain what that actually means. It means creating a life where your internal world is stronger than your external circumstances. It means having enough discipline to stay focused, enough confidence to stay grounded, and enough emotional intelligence to stay balanced. It means understanding that your success will never outgrow your self-development. You must become the person who can handle the life you want. In 2026, your mission is simple. Stop running outward and start building inward. Make yourself the project, make your mindset the priority, make your habits, your discipline, your healing, and your growth the focus. Because when the inner foundation is strong, the external success becomes inevitable. And once you build yourself from the inside out, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can shake what you've built. Your vision is one of the most powerful things you possess, not because it exists yet, but because it's yours. It's the picture you carry inside your mind, the dream that keeps you pushing, the idea that wakes you up in the middle of the night. But as meaningful and personal as it is, the biggest mistake people make is believing they have to share it with everyone. They don't. Not everyone deserves to know what you're building. Not everyone deserves access to your goals. Not everyone should be allowed into the most sacred parts of your ambition. When you share your vision too freely, you invite opinions, doubts, fears, and projections that were never meant to shape your journey. Some people will question your goals not because they're impossible, but because they can't imagine themselves achieving something similar. Others will doubt you because your vision highlights their lack of discipline. And many will respond based on their own fears, not your potential. That's the danger of sharing too much. You expose your dreams to people who will judge them through the limited lens of their own insecurities. Your vision needs protection, not because it's fragile, but because it's still growing. Think of it like a seed. When a seed first goes into the ground, it's vulnerable, it's quiet, it's hidden. It needs time, nutrients, and the right conditions to grow strong enough to break through the surface. If you dig the seed up every day to show people what's happening, you'll kill it. The same goes for your goals. Every time you expose your dreams to the wrong people, you interrupt their growth. You pull them out of the soil before they're ready. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize this is happening to them. They blame themselves for lack of progress without realizing they've been overexposing their goals to environments that cannot support them. When you choose to protect your vision, you take control of the narrative. You stop seeking approval. You stop craving validation. You stop asking permission to dream big. You decide that your vision is yours alone, something personal, something sacred, something that doesn't require outside confirmation. This shift is life-changing because it removes the pressure of performing for other people. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to justify anything. Your focus is no longer on how your dreams look to others. It's on how they feel to you. Protecting your vision also helps you identify the people around you more clearly. As soon as you start keeping your goals private, you'll notice who begins demanding access. Some people feel entitled to know everything you're doing. They want updates on your plans, your progress, your next move. But ask yourself, what value do they actually bring? Are they supporting you, or are they simply curious? Are they rooting for you, or are they tracking you? Your silence exposes their intentions faster than your words ever could. You'll quickly learn that some people only supported you because they had visibility into your life. They liked the role they played in your story, not the story itself. When you stop giving them inside information, they distance themselves, not because you changed, but because the access changed. This is good. It cleans your environment without confrontation. Protecting your vision naturally filters out those who were never meant to be part of your journey. But protecting your vision doesn't just shield you from negative influences, it strengthens your connection to your goals. When you keep your plans private, you develop self-reliance. You stop using other people's excitement as fuel. You learn to motivate yourself. You learn to hold yourself accountable. You stop being dependent on encouragement because your drive comes from within, not from the applause of others. This builds resilience, mental toughness, and emotional stability, qualities you absolutely need if you want to achieve anything meaningful. There's also strategy in silence. When people don't know what you're working on, they can't interfere, they can't copy you, they can't sabotage you, they can't discourage you, they can't distract you. Your progress becomes unpredictable, untrackable, untouchable. In a world where everyone broadcasts their every move, your silence becomes an advantage. You move quietly, but effectively. You work privately, but intentionally. You build without interruption. And when your results finally show, they speak louder than any announcement ever could. People won't understand how you transformed so quickly, how you elevated so powerfully, how you shifted so dramatically. But you'll know that the reason you succeeded is because you protected what mattered before it bloomed. You didn't let outside noise shape your inside vision. You didn't let their doubts become your reality. You didn't let their fears become your limits. Protecting your vision also requires understanding your environment. Not every space deserves your ambition. Some rooms are too small for your dreams. Some people cannot comprehend your potential. Some conversations shrink you instead of expanding you. You have to be careful where you plant your ideas. Sometimes the problem isn't your dream, it's the soil you're planting it in. The wrong environment can stunt your growth before you even start. The right environment will multiply it. This is why privacy is powerful. When you keep your goals to yourself, you control the environment in which they grow. You choose who gets access to your ideas. You choose who gets to support you. You choose who gets to advise you. And most importantly, you choose who gets to influence your mindset during the process. Because influence matters. Even one doubtful sentence can plant uncertainty in your mind. Even one judgmental reaction can weaken your confidence. Even one negative opinion can derail your momentum if you're not careful. Your vision deserves better than that. It deserves protection, privacy, and respect. It deserves a safe space to evolve without the weight of other people's expectations. It deserves to grow in silence until it's strong enough to stand on its own. This year, keep your circle small. Keep your plans private. Keep your eyes on your mission. You don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting more. You don't need permission to build the life you envision. You don't need applause to validate your direction. The only thing you need is clarity, discipline, and the courage to protect your vision, even if it means being misunderstood for a while. Because when the results come, and they will, those same people who questioned you will be the first ones asking how you did it. And all you'll have to say is the truth they never expected. You protected your vision, and that made all the difference. People love to talk about motivation as if it's some kind of magical force that will carry them through every challenge, every setback, every difficult moment. But motivation is unreliable. It shows up when life feels good, when the path is easy, when the energy is high. Motivation is emotional, meaning it rises and falls with your mood, your environment, your stress level, and even the people around you. If you rely on motivation to reach your goals, you'll only move when it's convenient. You'll only grow when you feel like growing. And that's why so many people stay stuck, start and stop, lose momentum, and quit before they ever see results. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire. Motivation gives you the idea, but discipline brings the execution. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays long after the excitement fades. Discipline is the foundation for any real transformation. It's the quiet force that keeps you moving forward when everything inside you wants to stop. Discipline is not emotional. It's structural. It's a system you build, a standard you set, a decision you make every single day, regardless of how you feel. Discipline is choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. It's choosing what needs to be done over what I want to do right now. And that choice is where true growth happens. Because growth is rarely comfortable. It rarely feels good in the moment. It demands sacrifice, consistency, discomfort, and persistence. Motivation doesn't give you that. Only discipline does. Think of discipline as a form of self-respect. It's saying, I deserve a better life, and I'm willing to do what it takes to build it. It's recognizing that your habits shape your future, whether you're conscious of them or not. Every small routine you repeat becomes the architecture of your results. Your life is not built by the things you occasionally do when you're feeling inspired. It's built by the things you commit to, even on the days you'd rather not. But here's the key: most people miss discipline is not about being rigid or harsh with yourself. It's about creating systems that make growth automatic, not optional. When you build a system, you don't rely on willpower. You don't rely on energy. You don't rely on motivation. You rely on structure. Systems turn your goals into a lifestyle. They eliminate decision fatigue. They create consistency without requiring constant emotional effort. And that's where the real magic happens. For example, if your goal is to get healthier, motivation might get you to the gym once or twice. But a system is what makes consistent training part of your identity. A system might look like scheduling workouts into your calendar, preparing your meals in advance, setting up a morning routine, or removing temptations from your environment. Systems support your success without requiring daily negotiations with yourself. If your goal is financial growth, motivation might get you excited about saving money, but a system will automate your savings, track your spending, organize your bills, and guide your investments. Motivation reminds you why you want it. Discipline builds the structure that actually makes it happen. If your goal is personal development, motivation might push you to read or learn when you feel inspired. But a system, like a daily reading habit, a reflection journal, or planned learning sessions, ensures that your mind continues to grow even when inspiration fades. A system is simply a set of behaviors, routines, and habits that make success the default outcome. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems reflect your discipline. Discipline also requires identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, someone who quits, someone who lacks structure, that identity will sabotage you long before your habits have a chance to develop. Discipline starts with deciding who you want to be and then behaving like that person every single day. If you see yourself as someone disciplined, someone capable, someone committed, your behavior will naturally align with that version of you. Your identity drives your actions far more than your emotions ever will. Another critical part of discipline is removing friction. Most people fail not because they lack drive, but because their environment is designed for convenience, not growth. Their phone distracts them. Their habits drain them. Their routines are chaotic. Their surroundings don't support who they want to become. Discipline requires creating an environment where success is easier than failure. That might mean limiting your screen time, creating a dedicated workspace, establishing routines that start your day with intention, or distancing yourself from people who disrupt your focus. You shape your environment, and then your environment shapes you. But discipline also involves sacrifice. You can't keep all your old habits and expect a new life. You can't cling to the comfort that held you back and expect transformation. Growth costs something. Your excuses, your laziness, your distractions, your comfort zone. Discipline demands that you choose what matters most over what feels easiest. And every time you do, you gain strength. You build character. You reinforce the foundation of your goals. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds. The more disciplined you become, the easier it is to stay disciplined. The habits become automatic. The routines become natural. The consistency becomes effortless. And before you know it, you're achieving things that once felt impossible. Not because you were inspired every day, but because you were committed every day. In 2026, you don't need more motivation. Motivation starts your engine, but discipline drives the car. What you need are systems, structures that force growth, support consistency, and keep you aligned even when you don't feel like trying. When you build those systems and commit to them fully, your life will change in ways motivation alone could never produce. Discipline will take you where motivation cannot. Discipline will make you unstoppable. Discipline will turn your goals into reality long after motivation has disappeared. Reinvention is not a moment. It's a decision. It's the quiet realization that the version of you who survived your past cannot be the same version who builds your future. At some point, you wake up and understand that you've outgrown who you used to be. The habits, the fears, the environments, the relationships, and even the narratives you carry no longer fit the person you're becoming. There's a moment when you feel it deeply, you need a rebirth. Not a temporary change, not a surface level adjustment, but a complete internal shift, a shedding, a release and evolution. Rebirth begins the moment you stop apologizing for wanting more from your life. It starts when you admit that the person you needed years ago, the stronger you, the more disciplined you, the more confident you, never arrived because you were too busy surviving to fully grow. You were in environments that didn't support your potential, relationships that didn't honor your worth cycles, that kept you small, and circumstances that demanded your attention more than your development. You weren't weak, you were overwhelmed. You weren't lost, you were stuck in a version of yourself built to cope, not thrive. Rebirth means breaking free from that version and saying, "Oh, I'm done living in survival mode. I'm ready to build." Reinvention requires courage because it demands that you walk away from parts of yourself you've carried for years. Habits that once protected you become barriers. Thoughts that once comforted you become limits. People who once made sense no longer align with your direction. Reinvention asks you to detach from the familiar in order to reach the possible. And people often fear this part, not because they lack strength, but because reinvention exposes everything they've been avoiding. You have to confront the ways you've betrayed yourself, the boundaries you never set, the dreams you postponed, the potential you hid, the standards you lowered. But this confrontation isn't punishment. It's liberation. You cannot rebuild yourself without first understanding what needs to be dismantled. Becoming the version of yourself you needed years ago means stepping into the role no one else played for you. It means giving yourself the discipline your younger self lacked, the protection they craved, the encouragement they didn't receive, the boundaries they didn't know how to set, and the faith they didn't yet have. It means taking responsibility for your healing, your growth, and your future. It means saying, I will not abandon myself again. Rebirth doesn't happen through comfort. It happens through intentional discomfort. It happens when you stop numbing your pain and start understanding it. When you stop blaming circumstances and start empowering yourself. When you stop repeating patterns simply because they're familiar. Growth often requires leaving behind the very things that felt like home. But if home was built on pain, doubt, or fear, then leaving it is the most powerful choice you can make. Reinvention also means embracing the possibility that you can transform faster than people expect. Some people will still see the old you because that's the version they're comfortable with. They may mock your growth, question your change, or try to pull you back into old habits. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your transformation forces them to confront the stagnation in their own lives. Understand this: when you rise, you disrupt the expectations people have built around you. But you are not responsible for living in the box they created to keep themselves comfortable. You are responsible for becoming who you were always meant to be. The version of yourself you're stepping into will require higher standards. You'll need to choose discipline over distraction, boundaries over people, pleasing, truth over comfort, and long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. This new version of you will think differently, react differently, and move differently. You'll find yourself no longer having the patience for things that once consumed you. Drama won't interest you. Validation won't tempt you. Approval won't feed you. You'll move with calm confidence because you'll be guided by internal certainty, not external noise. Rebirth also asks you to forgive yourself, not for the things you did wrong, but for the things you didn't know. You forgive yourself for staying too long, settling too often, shrinking too small, and doubting too much. You forgive yourself for the years spent in fear, the years spent trying to be what others wanted, the years spent abandoning your own needs. Forgiveness is part of reinvention because you cannot evolve while dragging guilt with you. You free yourself by acknowledging that you did the best you could with the awareness you had. Now you have more awareness. Now you can do better. And as you reinvent yourself, something profound occurs. You begin to see the future you desire as something achievable, not imaginary. You begin showing up differently. You walk differently. Your energy shifts. You begin creating opportunities instead of waiting for them. You begin recognizing your worth instead of negotiating it. You begin attracting people who align with your direction instead of your wounds. Reinvention elevates not only your mindset, but your entire environment. When you change internally, life responds externally. Becoming the version of yourself you needed years ago also means becoming someone your future self will thank. It means building the habits today that your future self will depend on. It means developing the discipline, resilience, and confidence that will allow you to face challenges you can't even see yet. It means creating a foundation strong enough to support the life you're still constructing. You're not just reinventing for who you were, you're reinventing for who you're becoming. This journey won't be loud. It won't be glamorous. It won't be comfortable. Most of your transformation will happen in private, quietly, painfully, powerfully. You'll have moments where you doubt yourself, moments where you feel isolated, moments where you feel like you're shedding your entire identity. But every layer you shed brings you closer to your truth. Every fear you face brings you closer to your strength. Every habit you replace brings you closer to your potential. By the time your reinvention is visible to the world, it will not be a surprise. It will be the result of months or years of internal work the world never saw. You will become the version of yourself you needed years ago, not by accident, but by choice, by self-awareness, by discipline, by courage, by refusing to remain the same. Rebirth is your return to yourself, the self you were always capable of becoming. Reinvention is the proof that you can change your story at any moment. And when you finally step into that version, you won't just feel different. You'll feel whole. You'll feel aligned. You'll feel powerful. You'll feel like someone who isn't just surviving anymore, but rising. That is the transformation waiting for you, if you decide to claim it. When you strip everything away, the noise, the expectations, the doubts, the past, you're left with one undeniable truth: your life changes the moment you decide to change. Not when the world supports you. Not when circumstances become easier. Not when people finally believe in you. Transformation begins the moment you take responsibility for becoming the person you were always meant to be. You don't owe the world an announcement. You don't owe anyone an explanation. What you owe, fully, completely, unapologetically, is to yourself, to honor your potential, to protect your peace, to build your discipline, to focus on your path, and to stay silent long enough for your work to speak louder than any words ever could. The journey ahead won't be effortless, but it will be worth it. Because the greatest power you will ever claim is the ability to redesign your life from the inside out, to break cycles, to rise from old versions of yourself, to create a future that reflects your strength, not your struggles. So walk into 2026 with clarity, with intention, with boundaries, with self-respect, with a vision so strong it no longer needs validation. Become the person your past self prayed for and your future self depends on. Let your progress be loud. Let your transformation be undeniable. Let your silence become your strategy. This is your year to evolve, not because the world says so, but because you have decided that staying the same is no longer an option. Go build the life that reflects the power you've always carried. The world will notice when it's time.